Hello students, today we are here to introduce ourselves to the third chapter of Sociology 2nd PUC. Department of Pre-University Education has prescribed Sociology of Indian Society as a textbook for us, in which we are studying Indian society to the fullest. As we all know, we have already gone through the first chapter, the making of society, and the second chapter, which deals with social inequality, exclusion, inclusion. Students, study of Indian society is no doubt a vast subject, which is comprised to 8 chapters in our textbook. Now, before going to deal with the chapter 3, let me tell you that this chapter 3 is nothing but an extension of the chapter 2, because in the chapter 2 we have studied social stratification of India, and in social stratification we have studied caste system in detail. And within this caste system in Indian society, we could see number of practices followed by people, tradition to this day. So, in the second chapter we have also studied the tribal community, which is the most important section of Indian society. But they were being relegated to the background. They were called as Adivasis, Aboriginals, indigenous people, and they were away from the civilized world. Now, the scheduled caste is a group which came within the civilized fold, but they were kept away from the other 4 varnas. Shwapachas, Panchamas, so many names have been given to them. Now, why I am just telling about the chapter 2 is that, as the father of sociology, Auguste Comte, said, sociology is a study of social statics and social dynamics. And that is what we are looking at in these 2 chapters. That is, chapter 2 is dealing with social structural aspect, and chapter 3 is dealing with the dynamic aspect. That is, the caste system which was being in the undercurrent of the Indian society, the Britishers have, during their administrative time, or during their rule, Britishers have listed so many castes which were considered as the below the standard, which were considered as impure, which were considered as negligent population, which were considered as untouchables. So therefore, these groups which faced exploitation, which faced atrocities, which faced lack of human rights, these were listed during the British time, and in the Simon Commission report these castes were listed and they were called as scheduled castes. Likewise, the aboriginals, the indigenous people, the uncivilized group which was there in the Indian society, kept away from the society, civilized society, the British government within this Simon Commission report listed them, and they came to be called as scheduled tribes. Now, in this chapter 3, we are trying to study in what all ways these scheduled castes and scheduled tribes can be included. And that is why we have in the chapter 3 inclusive strategies. Now inclusion, to bring them to the mainstream, to bring them to the fold where the overall population of India is living. Bring them towards education, bring them towards employment, bring them for political emancipation or political participation. And that is why in the chapter 3 we are going to study the inclusive strategies through which the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and even the women in India, not only in India, worldwide we find the women are considered as the second to men. And so these three weaker sections of the society, the inclusive strategies are included in this chapter to how to bring them up in society, how to get their participation in the overall development of the society. So students, let us first know what are the objectives of this chapter. Now as you all know, the chapter has very important objectives, that is we get to know, we try to have a scientific and an objective attitudes towards the scheduled castes, towards the scheduled tribes and other sections of the society. Secondly, we also study the developmental processes or the legislative safeguards or the constitutional safeguards that are introduced in the constitution in this chapter. An important matter in this chapter we are going to study is self-help groups, microfinance and empowerment of women. So, now let us just introduce ourselves to the third chapter. So, as you all know, the chapter starts with a very new term, that is affirmative action. Now, this term may be new for you. Now, what does this term mean? It looks very complicated, but it's a very simple term. What does it mean? Now, tell you before the meaning of affirmative action, let us know where it was been introduced for the first time. Now, it was being introduced in an executive order that was passed in United States, which was being signed by John F. Kennedy on March 6, 1961, that is to combat racial discrimination. We all know, we study in the newspaper, we read in the newspaper, we hear from various social media how even now the racial discrimination is going on in US. Therefore, this was signed in the year 1961. Now, what does this mean? Actually, affirmative action means all those formulations, all those programs, all those policies which are given, which are formulated for the purpose of giving some benefits to the underrepresented people, underrepresented section of the society. Now, if we see in India, some castes, some religious groups, some people of some ethnicity, some racial groups, women are they were being not allowed to do certain things. They were having some disabilities. They were treated in an inhuman way. All these are, that is why they did not get representation. That is, they are underrepresented population of India. That is what we are saying, that is affirmative action is nothing but all those inclusive strategies that are implemented in India to get back these sections of the society to the mainstream. That is why in India we have quota system, we have reservation policy. So, in the Indian context, we mean affirmative action means reservation policy. Now, in which are the areas we find the implementation of this? or what all the methods by which Indian society, the central government has brought out certain schemes by which they can get reservation, they were protected, they were safeguarded, and they were educationally, economically, politically powered or empowered, and socially and culturally safeguarded. So, let us now know the different constitutional safeguards. As we all know, we have a very biggest democracy in the world, and people appreciate the election process that is for the Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha. Some new techniques are implemented to conduct the elections also. So, we have adopted by studying various constitutions of the world, we have our own constitution. In this constitution, there are so many articles which say or which specify certain aspects which safeguard the scheduled castes. Now, let us know the first one, that is Article 15 of the Constitution. I am briefing all those articles here. The first article that is we are going to study in this connection is Article 15. Now, I have briefed it in one sentence, that is all are equal. That is Article 15 of the Constitution says there should not be any discrimination in India on the basis of caste, on the basis of creed, on the basis of racial group, on the basis of ethnicity, on the basis of sex, on the basis of place of birth, or on all these matters. There should not be any discrimination. People should be considered as equal, as it is also told all are equal before law, and nobody should be discriminated when they are participating in public gatherings using hotels, hospitals and various educational institutions, etc. Now, the second article tells us equality of opportunities. The Constitution guarantees that all are equal before law. In addition to that, there should be equality of opportunities. Now, we know the women were considered as second to the men, and throughout history, not only in India, throughout the world, we could see that women could not make up to men. That is, women cannot be successful as men. There are so many other social evils, etc. Now, in this, all should be given equal opportunities, especially in education and employment. Equal opportunities should be given, equal remuneration, same pay for same work should be given, and it is prescribed in the Constitution, Article 16 of the Constitution. Now, the most important article in this chapter we should remember, not only from examination point of view but also as citizen of India, that is Article 17 of the Constitution. Now, Article 17 of the Constitution says untouchability is abolished. Now, untouchability is considered as an criminal offence. A person who follows any practices which is considered untouchability is punished. It is a punishable offence. Now, we are going to study about what are the things which can be considered as, what are the practices that can be considered as untouchability later in this chapter. Now, the Article 23, what does this suggest? You know, in India we had some practices of bonded labor, forced labor, and just like animals, humans are also trafficked, sold as if they are just like animals. So, in this article, Constitution guarantees safety of the SCs, safety of the scheduled castes. Now, what is this safety? That is, illegalizes, that is, it is illegal if a person is sold or bought, illegalized human trafficking, and it also illegalizes forced labor. No one can force anybody on the basis of his caste that your forefathers were working with us, you should also work with us with a very minimum salary, very minimum wages. No. So, the next is the Article 25B. Article 25B gives entry open to all. To where, which are the places? Any person cannot be said, denied that you belong to this caste and so you are not allowed to enter here in this hospital or a hotel or use water tanks, springs, cremation ground, sanitary areas, whatever. That is, all the public places of entertainment, the worshipping places of public character and prayer halls cannot be denied. All should get entry which is of public character, not private, public character. Now, the Article 29 of the Constitution says every caste, scheduled caste and even a scheduled tribe has a right to preserve its culture. Now, we know the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes have their own dressing pattern, food pattern, cultural setup, they have their own folklore, they have their own kind of dialect, they have their own kind of some practices. They are allowed, according to this constitution gives them the right to preserve their culture. Now, Article 46 of the Constitution promotes educational and economic interests. Now, Article 164 says that should be a separate ministry. It guarantees a separate ministry which can have a study of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And the Article 325 of the Constitution gives the right to vote. We know there are some recently in the Lok Sabha election even the transgender could get a right to vote. Now, the scheduled caste cannot be denied that you do not have a vote, or it gives the person the right to vote. 330, 332, 334 article of the Constitution gives seat reservation. Now, reservation of seats in the educational institutions, employment areas and even reservation in promotions. Now, this issue is regarding reservation in promotion is a quite debatable issue discussed, and it has been declared by the Supreme Court now. The state government has the right to justify whether to give reservation in promotion. Now, the next article is 338. Article 338 of the Constitution gives the right to the central government to appoint a commission which can have a study of the scheduled castes, which can be considered as scheduled castes, which can be kept out of the list. All these are discussed by this commission. Now, next 339 of the Constitution gives a provision to the President of India to get a report from this commission about the administration of the welfare programs towards the scheduled castes. The other two discussed in the textbook are 341 and 342 articles of the Constitution. They are specifying about the President has the power to specify a particular caste as scheduled caste, or it should be kept out of it, or particular group as scheduled tribe ought to be kept out of the list, because here I am mentioning this because the Bovi is in a caste group, a community group which is living near Kundapura district. They were considered as scheduled caste. Now there is a some areas they were sometimes they were not getting the ability all the benefits of the scheduled caste, so therefore they were kept out of the list, and again they are giving a representation to get it. So these are things about the constitutional safeguards towards the scheduled caste of India. Now let us go to the legislative measures. Now regarding the legislative measures, the most important legislative measure regarding the untouchability is Untouchability Offences Act of 1955. Untouchability Offences Act of 1955. Practice of untouchability in any form is abolished. Any person, like here in this we are going to study what are the practices that can be called as untouchability. One is prevention of entry into places of worship and public importance, etc. Secondly, enforcing disabilities, that is denying access to public places, hospitals and cremation grounds of touching water tanks or drawing water from the wells, springs, etc. Now the third is enforcing occupational, professional and trade disabilities. That is, we know in the second chapter when we studied about the disabilities of the scheduled caste, we have learnt that they were not allowed to milk the cow, they were not allowed to use the umbrella, they were not allowed to horse riding, and all these cannot be done. They can profess any profession of their choice, they can profess any occupation of their choice, etc. Now the next is the last one, in which an act which can be considered as untouchability is refusing to sell goods or giving service. A person cannot be said that I am not going to give you a service because you belong to certain caste. So, or not denying a person of refusing a person to sell the goods. So this Untouchability Offences Act of 1955 strictly says that untouchability is an offence, and there are some penalties, there are fine and imprisonment, etc. levied if a person practices untouchability. To rigorous implementation of this act has been amended and been called as Protection of Civil Rights Act in 1976. So this is regarding Untouchability Offences Act of 1955. Now let us move on to the Prevention of Atrocities Act. We know in India, based on the caste structure, atrocities were done. Some areas the untouchables were inhumanly treated, bonded laborers. There were so many ill treatments faced by the scheduled caste, and there is a commission which gives a guideline. Now this Prevention of Atrocities Act of 1989 gives a comprehensive guideline. That is, it gives a comprehensive guideline as precautionary, punitive and rehabilitative measures, preventive, punitive and rehabilitative measures for the scheduled castes. Now the next aspect in this chapter we are going to study is developmental measures. Now, the three important aspects we have discussed just now are the constitutional safeguards, legislative measures, and now the third one is developmental measures. Now, what are the areas where development can be done by which the scheduled caste can be uplifted? The first one that the central government has done is appointment of a national commission. Now, what does this national commission does? It acts as a advisory body. It acts as a advisory body to the government, which gives information about the welfare of the scheduled caste, what are the developments that has taken place among the scheduled caste after giving the various provisions, and what are the areas work has to be done. Now, the second is educational opportunities. Now, we know the untouchable caste, which have been called as scheduled caste later, they had lack of education. The main thing that is they are facing is illiteracy. Even now the literacy rate is very low, about 80% of them are uneducated. So, educational opportunities. Now, when education means, we come to know free schooling, free tuition, textbooks, stationery items, nowadays big midday meal, various kinds of scholarships, and even boarding schools, technical schools, free residential schools, and free loan facility, and even to go abroad and study they are given some scholarships. So, educational opportunities are given to the scheduled caste by reserving certain seats for the scheduled caste. All the aided institutions, government aided institutions, central and state government aided institutions should give reservation of seats to the, and they should not be denied any educational opportunities. So, the third one is expansion of economic opportunities. Now, what all economic opportunities one can get? One is, most of them are landless. So, land is given to them. Some areas they are given with land is allotted to the scheduled caste, and they were built houses. The government itself builds houses. Electricity is subsidized rate, even water supply is given, etc. So, the landless are given through this land reforms, landless are provided with land, and those who are practicing agricultural implements are given, very good quality seeds are distributed, and they were given training regarding animal husbandry, poultry farming, and even various kinds of cottage industries they can easily learn and profess. To come up in life, they are given certain economic opportunities. The fourth is expansion of employment opportunities. This is the most important aspect of developmental measures, we can say. So, expansion of employment opportunities and reservation. Here comes the reservation of seats. Now, reservation of seats for the SC or scheduled caste is at present 15%, and reservation for the scheduled tribe is 7.5%. So, reservation of seats is the first point. Next is reservation in promotion. Now, reservation, once they get into service, after 10 years of service, 15 years of service, 20 years of service, they can be taken as a quota for even for promotion. But as I told you just now, reservation for promotion is a matter which was being taken to the Supreme Court recently, and it has given the full right to the state government to follow it, and if the state government follows it, they have to justify that the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes are not properly represented, therefore they could be given promotion or reservation in promotion. Now the third point is concessions in age limits. Now if a general category person needs to have 35 as the deadline for applying for any post, the SCs and STs can even apply even when they are above 35. Till 40 years of age they can. Like the various commissions, various department, various professional courses, various professional exam applications gives relaxation of age, that is concession in the age limit. Standard of suitability, that is to apply for a CET exam, to qualification in after the CET exam, the percentage of mark, there is relaxation for the SC and ST. Then even relaxation of experience and relaxation of qualification. To get a job, we can even find relaxation in qualification. Next, another important employment and educational opportunity and reservation is upliftment through 5-year plans. Now we know now and then we have the 5-year plan programs in India. In these 5-year plans, during the 6th plan, the 3 important provisions or 3 important steps were taken. One is SCP, another is SCA, and one more is SCDC. Now what does this SCP represent? SCP represent Special Component Plan. Now what is the importance of this Special Component Plan is to improve family income. The Special Component Plan aims at improving the income of the SCs. So therefore they are given, in this plan they are trying to identify certain schemes for the development of the scheduled caste. Next is special central assistance. Now for a state, if there is a need for special grant from the central government has this scheme, that is special central assistance. By this, the state government can try to elevate the scheduled caste from the poverty line. The third is SCDC, that is Scheduled Caste Development Corporation. Now these 3 schemes come under the 6th plan only. Now what is this SCDC means? It means flow of financial funds from financial institutions to the scheduled caste families. We know there are certain areas where the scheduled caste could not approach some financial institutions, maybe because of ignorance, maybe because of illiteracy and so many other matters. Therefore this acts as a link between the various financial institutions and the scheduled caste families. So these are all important schemes and the plans that are introduced by the government from time to time. So in this session, therefore, we have studied the affirmative action, we have studied constitutional measures, legislative measures, and even some developmental programs towards the upliftment of the scheduled castes of India. In the 3rd chapter, that is inclusive strategies, we are going to study some of the important contributions by M.K. Gandhi and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. We know Gandhiji is a father of nation, called as Bapu, worked not only for Indian freedom struggle, but he led the movement against untouchability. Now Gandhi stood as a model. Untouchability should be uprooted from Indian society, Gandhi says. Now what he did? He practiced what he preached. Mahatma Gandhi, during the freedom struggle, he encouraged and he developed awareness among people about freedom, about justice. He wanted to make people aware that these are all evils that making us not to go towards independence. If we are united with the irrespective of caste, creed, sex, religion, etc., and participate with the zeal for independence, we can get independence. Likewise, in order to bring India or outshine, untouchability should be abolished. So he was model in his deed and in his words. Now that is what he said, he tried to practice. Therefore he practiced what he preached. How? He himself went to the Harijan areas. He shared with them their sorrows and sufferings. He tried to make them aware what is the importance of sanitation, what is the importance of cleanliness, what is the importance of health. He tried to convey the message to the untouchables that you are also human beings. Moreover, he called them as people of God, that is Harijan. This term is Harijan was coined by Narasimha Mehta, a Gujarati saint, but it was been popularized by Mahatma Gandhi, that these people are also humans, or I can call them as Harijan, by which he went to their colonies, cleaned their toilets, lived with them, tried to know what actually they suffer, and therefore he played a very important role in getting untouchability out of India. Now he said society can get developed. Now especially Indian society, he said Indian society can develop when two things happen. One is caste system is totally uprooted from India. Another is education to women. So these two aspects Gandhiji highlighted. Now through his papers, Harijan and Young India, he tried to build awareness not only among the scheduled castes that they are suffering, but he tried to organize the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. He tried to organize the Harijans, and therefore in favor of legal provisions he wrote articles, he addressed people, and he himself worked with the people. So Indian National Congress in the year 1931 founded a council which worked towards this, that is removal of untouchability from India. Therefore two important institutions came up, that is, one is Kasturba Balika Ashram in Delhi, Kasturba Balika Ashram in Delhi, and Harijan Balika Vidyalay in Sabarmati. These two institutions were established with a special intention for female education among the scheduled castes. Now next, these Kasturba Balika Ashram and Sabarmati, the Vidyalaya from Sabarmati, they have branches, and there are more than 120 boarding schools in India which not only imparts education but also gives them residence while educating, that is residential education. Now therefore the role of Gandhi in the emancipation of scheduled castes from this clutches of untouchability is the most important topic of discussion regarding untouchability. Now another important matter that is discussed in this chapter is the role of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, also known as Baba Saheb. Now we always remember, or we always hear this name every year during our Republic Day speeches. Why we actually got our constitution implemented on that day, so we celebrate it as a national festival. One of the main architects in the framing of the Indian Constitution is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He himself suffered in his life how untouchability can treat a human as inhuman. So let us know what all efforts made by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The first is Constitution. In the framing of the Constitution, there are so many articles we have already studied in the beginning of the chapter. There are so many articles which give, which protect, which safeguard the scheduled castes. Actually, the Constitution gives so many articles which protect not only the scheduled castes, even the people in general, all the other civilians. Specifically, we have studied those articles where untouchability is also abolished. The main three important things Dr. B.R. Ambedkar wanted the scheduled caste people to know is, or to develop, is self-dignity, self-confidence, self-respect. If you have to come up in life, you need to have self-respect. If you give respect, the others give you respect. You should have self-dignity. You have to maintain your dignity. And one more thing, you should not have inferiority complexes. That is, you should have self-confidence that I can achieve anything. So these three important matters he discussed, and therefore he started Bahishkrita Hitakarini Sabha. This Bahishkrita Hitakarini Sabha came into existence mainly to instill these values in the scheduled castes, and there is a self-respect movement. It started a self-respect movement. Through this movement, he tried to instill in the people the 5 Panchasutras. Now, what are these Panchasutras? One is self-improvement. He gave a call to the scheduled castes, he gave a call to the untouchables, he gave a call to the Dalits that you are no more to be exploited. You have equal right. You have all the qualities which others have. Therefore, you should first of all think about self-improvement. When you are getting self-improvement, when you improve, you will develop. That is self-dependence. You can depend on yourself. You need not depend on other groups. You can be independent. So the first is self-improvement. Second is self-dependence. The third is self-respect. To respect oneself. This is a main motto of building self-confidence. If we respect ourselves, automatically we get self-confidence. So the fourth one is self-confidence, and the last is self-progress. If we improve ourselves, if we try to depend upon ourselves, if we try to respect ourselves, and if we become self-confident, naturally progress is attained. So these 5 Panchasutras are the 5 principles which he gave as 5 sutras for the scheduled caste to follow in life, to get improvement in life, to attain success in life, to lead a life like any other person of any other caste. That is why with in his paper Mookanayaka also, he tried to give messages to the people. He tried to instill in the hearts of the people that idea of self-respect, that is self-respect movement. Now, what he tried is to get one all India, bring them to under one banner, bring them under one umbrella. That is why a conference was held in Nagpur in the year 1942. All India Depressed Class Conference was held in 1942 in Nagpur, in which he gave 3 important messages to the people. He brought them together. He wanted all the Dalits in one group, and he wanted them to be organized. That important principles he said is education, agitation and organization. 3 aspects he highlighted by which anyone can be successful: through education, and if you don't get your rights fulfilled, agitate, and for agitation you need to be organized. So these 3 principles he brought to the people, to the scheduled caste. Now in this chapter we are going to study some of the non-governmental organizations. There are some non-governmental organizations which are listed in the textbook, and I am going to list them up. In the examination point of view, there is sometimes 1 mark question they may ask, write any NGO. They may ask the full form of NGO, that is non-governmental organization. Here there are so many non-governmental organizations that have worked for the benefit, for the development, for the upliftment of the scheduled caste. I am going to list out them now. One is Harijana Sevaka Sangha. Harijana Sevaka Sangha, it has branches all over India. Second is Indian Depressed Class League. Indian Depressed Class League. Hindu Sweepers Sevak Sangh, Servants of India Society, Ishwara Sharana Ashrama, All India Backward Classes Federation, and Bharatiya Adim Jati Sevak Sangh. Can remember at least 2 of them from examination point of view. So the first part of the 3rd chapter has one more point that has to be discussed, that is Sulabh International. Now when we travel throughout India, we come across some Sulabh Shauchalay facility, especially when we move from rural areas towards urban areas. We find pay and use shauchalayas or pay and use toilets. I was shocked when I heard that about few years back when I was watching CNBC TV 18, I was shocked to see a sociologist has been awarded with a award, that is Social Entrepreneur Award. How a sociologist can be awarded an entrepreneur award? I was shocked, and I saw that the work that he has done is commendable. So in this regard, in the textbook of the second PUC, this idea of Sulabh International is included. Now there are certain motives for which this Sulabh International is working, very important motives. So here we can see the third chapter, the first part of this third chapter deals with the constitutional safeguards, legislative measures, developmental measures taken against untouchability, and even the NGOs and the role of Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar towards upliftment of the scheduled castes of India.